If you're generating hundreds of leads from a lead magnet, but almost none of them ever reply, open your emails, or even start a conversation, there's a good chance the problem isn't your ads and it probably isn't your offer either. One thing becomes clear when you spend enough time looking at lead magnet funnels is that many of them are extremely good at collecting contacts, but very poor at starting conversations. And from the outside, everything looks successful. The ads are generating leads, your list is growing, even your cost per lead looks reasonable. But when you follow what happens after somebody downloads the resource, something very interesting appears. Almost nothing. The lead receives their download and maybe an email or two, and then that relationship quietly stalls. There's no replies, there's no conversation, there's definitely no real engagement, which often leads businesses to assume that something must be wrong with the ads, or that the leads themselves are very bad quality, or that the solution is simply to increase the ad budget to bring in more people. But when you look closely at how these funnels behave, something else becomes very obvious. Many lead magnet funnels unintentionally create passive leads because, think about this, when somebody clicks on an ad and instantly downloads a free resource, that interaction just feels complete. They came for the checklist, they got the checklist, and in their mind, the exchange is now finished, which means the relationship between the business and the lead starts in a very, very passive place. Yes, they're on your email list, but they're not expecting to talk to you. They're definitely not expecting a conversation, and they're certainly not expecting to discuss the problem that your service solves. And this is where numbers inside many lead magnet funnels become very revealing. Across loads of systems, the response rate from a new lead sits somewhere around 5% right now, which means roughly 95% of the people who downloaded your resource never interact again. And it's not because they're bad leads, but it's because the funnel never created a moment when an actual conversation naturally begins with the other human being. The system actually rewards downloading, but it's never rewarded dialogue. So what happens is your list grows, but your relationship never does. And this is where a very small structural change can make a surprisingly large difference. Because when the first interaction requires a very small decision from the lead, even something as simple as choosing to start a quick conversation, you'll find the dynamic changes completely. Instead of downloading something silently and disappearing, that lead has already stepped into dialogue. And once that happens, the whole psychology of the interaction shifts. They no longer feel like an anonymous subscriber on a list. They feel like somebody who's actually already begun a conversation with you, which is why in so many cases, the biggest improvement in lead quality doesn't come from spending more on ads. It actually comes from changing how that first interaction between the lead and the business actually happens. Because once people expect a conversation, they're far more likely to respond to one. And when businesses make that shift, something interesting starts to happen inside their funnels. Instead of them chasing hundreds and hundreds of passive leads who never reply, they instead begin having daily conversations with people who are already engaged with their topic, which then means fewer leads are needed to generate the same number of sales conversations. And then the ads themselves often become far more efficient as the result. So, if you are currently generating plenty of leads but very few of them ever reply or exchange, remember, it may not be an ad spend problem at all. It may simply be the way that your first interaction on your funnel is structured. Now, if you'd like to see how that could work differently, if you comment the word fast below, I can send you our simple walkthrough so that you can see exactly how the first interaction shifts from a passive download to a conversation with somebody who actually wants to talk about what it is you've got.